like Christmas time or something. So anyway, I'm thrilled to be here today. I want to tell you a little bit about myself before I get into the top 10, which I hope really helps you. First of all, I am a HAYVN member. And I am a freedom warrior. So basically, I escaped the corporate world 10 years ago. I went to Columbia Journalism School, was a television reporter for 10 years. Then I worked in public relations for Pepsi. And at that point was on an airplane every other day. And I thought, okay, I can't really have a child doing this. And I left Pepsi and went to Vassar College, where I was the editorial director, and had a little more flexibility. And, you know, if you're a mom juggling a job and kids, you understand, and a dad too, how it's challenging sometimes to juggle it all. And that's when I started my side hustle on the side. And after a year, my plan B became my plan A. So I am a regional vice president with Arbonne International, which many of you probably have heard of. We're a vegan health and wellness brand, and I'm super grateful I'm able to still run my business from home. I'm also the founder of an empowerment group for divorced women, widowed women, and those in transition that meets at HAYVN, or will be meeting at HAYVN very soon, right, Felicia? And, you know, I'm super passionate about that. I am a divorced single mom of an 11-year-old boy. And I will say that these times are particularly challenging if you're in that kind of situation, but that's a whole nother call Felicia and I were chatting about. I have a global team of consultants in my business and a big team in Canada. So guys, I've been using Zoom for years and have been a work at home boss for over a decade. Before I start, I want to tell you a quick story. So, you know, years ago, I was on Zoom or something similar. My son is 11 now. He was probably, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 at the time. And I was doing a formal business presentation to some prospects. It wasn't just, you know, a casual team call. And I always say to him, hey, it's my team and you need to come and ask me something. It's okay. But this was a little more serious. And, you know, we all have our screen, what you can see. And a lot of us were, you know, shoving all the mess out of the screen, right? So we can see your pristine office. But I was doing my presentation. Out of the corner of my eye, I see my son, Max, completely naked. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So here I am talking about our global expansion. And I'm like this with my hand out of frame, like stay out, stay out. I'm turning red. I'm as red as a tomato at that point. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I could not. So I'm like, you know, shooting daggers. And I finished the presentation. I said to him, what happened? He said, oh, I spilled something on my clothes, so I took them off. And I was like, why didn't you put new clothes on, right? It was just like crazy moments. I've had many more of those, you guys, over these years. And the ultimate irony is that the other day he was at our kitchen table, and I signed him up for some online classes through Outschool, which I would highly recommend. And he was starting his Zoom, and he was kind of complaining to me, like, you're making a lot of noise back there. Are you going to stand there? Because, you know, I'm about to start my Zoom. And he was getting all stressed out. And I said, oh, wow, how the tables have turned. All of a sudden, I'm disrupting your Zooms. Like, you know, so we have to find the humor in this, I think. And everybody's using Zoom, right? So I feel like I've been through it all as a working mom, work at home mom, and figured I would share some of the tips that I think have helped me over the years that I hope will help you whether you have children at home or not. So are you ready for my top 10? Yes, okay. Number 1, start your day right. And I really love to recommend this book. How many of you have read this book, The Miracle Morning, or heard of it? Anybody? It's fantastic. It's by Hal Elrod. And you know, he talks about the importance of the morning, how people who start their morning right are more successful. I really recommend reading it. But he does have a 6-minute version of the miracle morning that I want to share with you really quickly, because sometimes, you know, we're all guilty of saying, I just got to start my day. I got to start right away, right? And you just start in without taking that moment or those few moments for yourself. So this is what the 6-minute miracle morning consists of. 1, silence. Instead of grabbing the phone, meditate, pray, connect with whoever you believe in during this time. 2, read your affirmations. And if you don't have them, I really encourage you to have them. The things you believe, and I'm sure everybody on this call has watched The Secret, right? And is familiar with the law of attraction. You know, I am a customer magnet. I am whatever you want to be in the present tense. And it will also remind you of your priorities for the day. So before you just start, you know, all scattered, you're reminding yourself, this is what I want to accomplish, right? And if you have children, involve them in this. Max reads his affirmations every day. I am a Major League Baseball player and all these things. So, you know, involve your kids in this if you want to. 3, visualization. Close your eyes, look at your vision board if you have one, and now's a great time to make one if you don't have one, that represents places you want to go, things you want to accomplish, things that are important to you, and really think about what it will feel like when you reach your goals. 4, scribing. So this is when you want to take out a gratitude journal and talk about what you're grateful for and also what you're committed to accomplishing that day. I found this great one for kids, a 3-minute gratitude journal for kids that my son does also. I just wanted to mention. It's never too early to start them. 5, reading. So grab a personal development book and read a page or two. Even if you know, sometimes we think, oh, I don't have half an hour right now, right? So I'll read later. And then you never get to it. But the more you feed your brain with these positive thoughts, I'm huge into personal development. You can see this is just a fraction of the books I have read and would recommend. You know, read a page or two and you'll see something that inspires you or sparks something in you that day. And then 6, exercise. Do jumping jacks. This morning I did the 7-minute workout on my phone. I was like, I don't really have time to do a 45-minute thing that my gym is offering right now, maybe later, but I don't want to, you know, feel like I've done nothing. So get your heart going. It's a great app. So that's the miracle morning. That's my tip number 1. Number 2, set a goal list. And Sheila Crowley talked about this last week on our HAYVN Halftime, which I thought was great. She said, eat that frog. And for those of you who were not on, what that means is that you do the hardest thing at the beginning of the day. And I was, you know, kind of raising my hand when Sheila was talking about it because I wanted to recommend the book. Have any of you read this book? It's called Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. Another great one on time management, guys. I mean, it's incredible. One of my favorite books that I recommend to everybody. And Brian Tracy is a huge guru in time management, and he really recommends making your list for the day and color coding it, right? Or putting an A, B, C. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes when I didn't do this, I would have a list this long. I would get some things crossed off, but at the end of the day, I looked and thought, I didn't do the most important things, right? Because sometimes it's easy for us to, you know, get into organizing our files and doing all this. And is it really income producing activity in our businesses? So I think, you know, putting in red the most important A items, and then B might be green and C might be yellow or something like that, because A is must get done, B is next level of importance, C is honestly something that could wait till the next day if you don't get to it, right? So let's see. If you have kids and family, I recommend doing the things you need to do alone first. I told you I'm a single mom, right? My son has no playmate. Don't get me started on. But so I really try to think about the things I can do with him. I've let piles of laundry pile up all day because I'm like, when I'm done working, Max and I will put some music on and have fun together, folding the laundry, right? Not a good idea for me to do that during work time, right? So I think it's really important to prioritize. Okay, number 3, create an office space that is yours. Now, I've worked from home for years. I have my own office here, locked and barricaded the door right now, but if you have an office you usually go to, or you usually go to HAYVN, and now you're working from home, I think this is really important. You know, you might think you can set up in the dining room or set up, you know, at your kitchen table. It's not a good idea because you're going to be so distracted. You know, find a bedroom or a space, improvise. I had a spare bedroom we weren't really using, and I converted it into my son's school office because I thought we have to have private spaces right now. So I think that's really important. Limit the distractions. So no TV around. And guys, right now, more than ever, it's so tempting to get pulled into the news, right? You get an alert on your Apple Watch and you're like, oh, I better read that article and see what's going on. And then not only is it a time distraction, but it's an emotional distraction, right? Because then you might be getting anxious and start going down that road. I'm a former TV reporter who worked in the news industry for years. I have hardly read the news the past 4 to 5 days because I just found it was not serving me, shall I say. So, you know, really be cognizant of that. One of the funniest things to happen in the past week or two is, you know, I've been working from home for years, but my son's usually at school, and now we're in long stretches together. And he actually, I don't know if any of you have had your family members at home offer insights into your workday or critique, but I have to thank him for this because he said, you know what? I noticed when you come downstairs into the kitchen to like make me lunch or make a snack or something, then this is what he said, quote, think you have to do everything. I said, what do you think? What do you mean by that, Max? He said, well, then you start unpacking the boxes that are in front of the front door. You know, then you start doing this and I thought he's right. And, you know, so anything you can do to kind of limit those distractions. Now I'll get to this in a second. Something that I do to reduce the amount of times I need to go into the kitchen because it is like quicksand, right? And I think if you're working from home and you have kids or family members, guys, you know, we're women, we feel a lot. Like I feel guilty, right? Like running in, running out, not checking on him to be like, what are you doing? And let me see what you're doing. And then pretty soon 10 minutes has gone by and he's showing me this. And it's like, oh, wait a second, right? So, you know, I think that's something we have to monitor as well. Okay, number 4, stick to a schedule. Sheila talked about this a little bit too. Work it out with your family in advance. You know, the night before, plan out your day. Sheila has suggested making 9 to 12, like uninterrupted work time. I think that's great. This morning I posted on Facebook a little exchange. My son came into my bedroom and said at 8 o'clock, you're still in bed on your phone and I'm going to finish all my schoolwork in 10 minutes. And I'm like, great. Like, oh, how is this day gonna go, right? So I think you have to be flexible. So like, for example, I've told Max I'm gonna work 9 to 12, then we're gonna have lunch together. I have to work again, and then we're gonna go outside at 2 or 3, right? You have to do what works for you guys. For me, it has to be flexible. I might have a prospect in my business who can only talk when their baby is napping at 2. And I have to say to Max, you know what? Your reading time that you were going to do at 4, could you switch that to 2 and we'll go out at 4 or something like that. So I think, you know, getting the stuff done, but, you know, being flexible if that works for you. If you are able to, you know, lock yourself in your office for 8 hours, all power to you. You know, like, I think that's great. Okay. 5, make your family and your kids part of your work. I'm not above bribing children. If you have kids and husbands, partners, employ them in what you're doing. I think it's important and it can be fun. So I know it's not always possible, but here are some examples. Like I have friends and, I'm going to do myself like tax receipts. I have a ton of tax receipts that I need to go through, right? I'm going to have my son do some of that for me. Stuffing little sample packs for me. I think another thing is involving them in what you're doing and your goal for the week. And, say your goal is to get 2 new clients, tell them that in the beginning of the week. They feel part of it. And then they kind of say, how you doing on getting those 2 clients? They understand why you are working and feel invested in it. Like yesterday when I had to make these notes for this call, my son wanted to watch a show at night and I had several work calls and I explained to him, I'm doing this thing and I just, I really have to just work on my outline a little bit. And then, so, he felt part of it. He's like, how did the outline go? Do you feel prepared? So it's not just I'm working, but they appreciate why you're working and what you're doing. Another thing you can do is have a party when you reach a goal. Like, when I get 3 new clients, we're going to have an ice cream cake party. So they're kind of part of it. And, it motivates them to leave you alone. And, I think an exchange is good. Like, okay, I need to go do this call, but after that, we'll play Scrabble. Or after that, if it's your partner, we'll have some time together, watch TV together, or whatever it is, go for a walk. I've also had my son bring a beanbag chair into my office. Like if he has to do reading, I would say to him, and I'm doing quiet computer work, like we can be together, but doing what we both need to do. Does that make sense? Okay. So number 6, if you have children, make the kids' lunches in advance as if they're going to school. I heard this idea and it's genius, you guys, because I told you how every time I go into the kitchen, I lose an hour, or I did rather. So I think this can be really helpful. And then you don't have to disturb your workflow, right? Like you may have to say to your family, I have to work through lunch on a call, but we're all gonna have dinner together, right? 7, have your kids and maybe significant others do more chores, laundry, picking up the kitchen, sweeping. I said to my son today, he went to Montessori school. They taught them sweeping at like age 3. It was worth every penny of the tuition. I'm like, you know how to sweep, Max. We learned it at 3. I need you to sweep, right? I'm going to do the mopping later because I don't know about you guys, but I'm cleaning a lot more. And I don't mean just we don't have our possible cleaning help in, but, I did a Zoom with a doctor who's a friend of mine in our business. And she said, wash your laundry more, clean the floors more, obviously, right? So that's a lot, right? And we need help with that. And I think it's okay to ask for help. 8, beware of Zoom overload. I never miss the HAYVN halftime, right? And you can bring your lunch. I got my protein shake I'm drinking while we're here. But do be careful not to spend all day on Zooms, because that was happening to me in the beginning. And I love networking. I love women's networking groups. But at one point I was in the kitchen kind of harried at night, and a leader I love from a group in New Jersey, was texting me like, Amy, are you getting on? I said, I'm so sorry. I just can't. I've been on 5 Zooms today, right? And so it's okay to say no, you guys. We can't, if we're on Zooms, that are not income producing, right, for 8 hours a day, you get at the end of the day, what did I accomplish, right? Again, I'm not saying that you skip the HAYVN halftime. This is absolutely necessary. Don't worry, Felicia. Okay. And then 9, reward yourself for blocks of work time. I got this idea a while ago and I have it on my desk. It's a wine glass. There's no wine in here. They're jelly beans. So the idea is, say you have to do, I don't know, 20 reach outs for your business, right? Because a lot of us are in some sort of sales related business. Every time you do a reach out, take a jelly bean or whatever you have at home. I got this bag from my cute candy store in Ridgefield. You put one in here. Like, I'm not going to take a break. I'm not going to leave my office until I have 15 in here. Then I'm going to go get tea. Then I'm going to go reward myself with a walk. Then I'm going to whatever. The great thing about it, guys, is that it's visual. You see it. And we're all human. We can get distracted. And then you glance at the glass, you're like, oh shoot, there's only 3 in there. I better get going or I'm never gonna get out of here. So I love doing that. We do have to limit our snacks too. You've seen all the funny memes out there of everyone in quarantine packing on the pounds because we're eating all the time. Okay, and number 10, last but not least, exercise. Get out there, do that 7-minute workout if that's all you can do on your phone. There are a bunch of different apps. Go for a walk, recharge, laugh. And lastly, give yourself grace. I think we're all going through a lot right now, and it is not the time to look at your list and beat yourself up because you didn't get every single thing done, right? There's always tomorrow. If you need to rest your body and you feel tired, then rest. You can do it the next day. I think that's really, really important. To sum up, I hope these tips have helped you guys. So none of us wanted this situation, you guys. But I think we all can find a silver lining in this. I loved when Felicia said recently, it's forcing us to go more virtual, which I've wanted to do for HAYVN, which I think is great. Use this time for personal growth. I love the image I've seen posted on Instagram a lot. When you can't go outside, go inside, right? Focus, take stock in where you're going and maybe adjust that and work toward new goals. I know by doing that and being part of this incredible HAYVN community, all of us can thrive during this time. So thank you so much for having me today. I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Okay, unmute, accept if anybody has some questions. And I'm sorry, keeps coming in who something that we're going to have to learn for next time. And I'm so happy to have Amy in our group. As you can see, she has a wealth of knowledge, as so other people do. Okay, and what we do is open it up for questions. We can stay on and just keep chatting.
And if anybody has any other tips that have been working for you, I think that would be great to share with people, right?
Can you say what the book was?
The first one, Miracle Morning?
Yes, thank you.
Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And he's got a website, of course, but I think that reading the book is great because it explains the logic behind it and the evidence behind Miracle Morning. And guys, we all know, we've all heard stories of, all the successful people we hear about in our world, and most of them wake up early, right? Have a morning routine.